Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Got another Game of Thrones review, episode 5 of the final season, season 8. This episode is called The Bells. Warning off top, there are going to be spoilers, so if you've not seen the episode yet, do not watch this video. I'm going to talk about in depth of everything that happened in this episode, and boy, was this an episode. So the penultimate episode, we are now only one episode left of Game of Thrones. 8 seasons, we're down to 1. So what happened in this episode? A lot happened in this episode. There's been so much controversy online about this with the sort of big whole thing that happens with Dany. I'll get to that later. But we kind of started off on Dragonstone, the aftermath of Missandei being beheaded in the last episode. We're at Dragonstone. Dany is apparently in this fit of depression. She's not eating. She's not talking to anyone. She's just in her castle sort of stewing. We see Varys writing various notes of Jon's true heritage. We see him burn one of those notes later on, but was that one note or did he send out a lot already? So does the kingdom already know? We don't know. We'll probably find that in the next episode. He meets Jon on the beach, and the whole discussion between him and Jon just blindingly following Dany still. He said from the start he doesn't want the throne, there's nothing to do with it. Dany's the queen, that's who he's going to follow. Even with Varys warning him that with Targaryens, you never know what you're going to get. So it's kind of nice now because Dany and Jon are two sides of the same coin. Because he says about flipping the coin, I thought it's quite clever. And then they have a discussion, and Tyrion then goes to Dany and he explains, because she obviously knows that Jon's told Sansa, but she's seen the political, and it's kind of another sort of chink in her armour that she's not loved. She's not seen as this great ruler who she thought she was going to be. Like when she was Meereen, she liberated the people. A lot of the people loved her. The Dothraki love her. She thought she could just roll up into Westeros and take over, but she can't. So she's really starting to lose it. She has a discussion with Tyrion. He obviously tells her it was Varys that has kind of spread the rumour around the kingdom. So she kills him, beheads him. I think Tyrion knew she was going to do that, but he was trying to prove his loyalty to Dany. So he knew that as soon as he told Dany about Varys, she was going to kill him. And she does. Varys, even himself, says, I understand, I hope I'm wrong, but I have to do what I think is right. And she tortures him. It's a sad way to go. I liked Varys. Varys was a really good character. He has some great lines, he has some great speeches, and he will be missed. Obviously only for one episode, but he was a good character. So then we move on to the King's Landing. Oh no, we don't, sorry. There was a really, really good scene when Tyrion and Jaime kind of reunite, because Jaime's on his way back down to Cersei after leaving Brienne back at Winterfell, and they had this really good scene because when they're in there and they're talking, they know each other. This is the last time they're probably ever going to see each other, because one of them's probably going to die, if not both. And it's a really, really good scene. It's a really good, well acted, some great dialogue. The way Tyrion kind of really opens up, and you don't see him doing that often. You see him have impassionate speeches, but having that sort of almost thank you to Jaime, because he's the one that didn't treat him like a monster. He's the one that got him through his younger years and into adulthood, and he got to return the favour, obviously, because Jaime broke him out in back end of season 5, I think it was, when he kills Tywin, or season 4, sorry. So that was a really good scene between those two, and then we move on to King's Landing with the battles all set up. Dany comes down, takes out majority of the ships of the Iron Fleet with Drogon, and this is when the controversy starts, because I like that, because she comes right up into the clouds and straight down, so the Scorpions don't have time to angle right, because they kind of show you that they're quite, although they're effective, they're quite hard to manoeuvre, so that makes them quite hard to kind of point straight up or turn around and actually fly around quickly. Basically takes out the entire outfit and then wipes out all of them along the walls of King's Landing. But then we get the Golden Company, and this has kind of been built up, especially in the books. This is the Golden Company are talked about as this huge, the greatest army of all time. They're the greatest sellswords. You pay them, they'll do your job for it, and they get wiped out in an instant, because Dany just comes on, smashes through the back end of the wall, and takes them out. So that was a bit of a disappointment not to see this Golden Company, this army that they've built up for a few seasons, because even Stannis has said it, and Davos has said it in previous seasons, that the Golden Company are the greatest sellswords, but they get wiped out pretty quickly, so that was a bit disappointing there. And it all goes on. They pretty much easily win the battle. Cersei is kind of speaking to Qyburn more in hope than anything else, because he's saying, she's like, all we need is one good shot. They're all gone. All we need the Iron Fleet. They're gone too. So you can see Cersei just slowly realising that, yeah, she's dosed. She's done for. And obviously Tyrion had said before about the bells. If the bells ring, means the fighting's over. The city is ours. Take it. So the fighting's going on. Dany's wiped out all the Scorpions, a lot of the soldiers. She perches Drogon. The bells ring, and then we see her snap. She loses it. She just goes, nope, I'm done. I don't want to be ruling. Well, I want to rule in fear, as she says to Jon earlier in the episode, and then just wipes out the city. Pretty much burns everybody. And then her sort of soldiers, the Unsullied and the Dothraki, follow her lead, and they start cutting everybody up as well. And this is where the controversy has kind of kicked in, because a lot of people, I've seen things online with people saying this comes out of nowhere, this is not earned, this is a betrayal of our character. And for me, it isn't. I think they had built up to this, but not even just this season. Previous seasons, I thought this was going to happen. I always predicted that she would become the Mad Queen at some point, but I think they took it too far. Her just burning everybody, I think, was a bit much. I think probably would have worked better is if the bells ring, they surrender the city, she then decides, I'm not listening to the bells, flies up, burns Cersei and Qyburn and everybody in that temple, and then after that they have the city there with all the Lannister army, and then she shows the city how ruthless she can be. She then burns the army in front of the city. Not everybody, not destroying the city, not destroying everything, just burns the army as a sign of this power that she possesses, and how she's not, to be fair, that she doesn't need an army, she has a dragon. I think that would have been a more effective way. It still shows that she's gone mad, still shows that she's wants to rule through fear without killing innocents and stuff. And the way this episode is shot, I must admit, is amazing. The bit when Arya is running through the city, trying to pull people to safety, and the fire's just coming down relentlessly, and it's amazing. That little bit when she's trying to help the mum and the daughter, and the mum says take her, she pulls, the daughter says no, runs back to mum and see the fire just take everybody out, really shows the devastation that Dany has caused in King's Landing. But I think it could have been done a little bit better. I think it's, again, I thought the heel turn, choose a wrestling turn was coming, and I thought this was where it was going to go, but I think it kind of went over the edge. I think it went a little bit too far, and I'd like to have seen them kind of scale back a little bit. Also in this episode, we did get the Clegane Bowl, something they've been building up for a long time, but it was a good setup because Arya and the Hound make it into the chambers, but the whole castle is coming down, it's getting destroyed, and the Hound turns to Arya and says, you do not want to be me, you do not need revenge this badly, look what it's done to me, look how I live my life just because I want revenge on my brother, don't you do that, Cersei's going to die anyway, look at the city is crumbling, just go. She says, turns to him and says thank you, which was a really nice moment because those two have shared some really good chemistry, and I'd like to have seen a little bit more of them together, but unfortunately we're kind of in 6 episodes now, so we've got to move on. So she goes all throughout the city. We get the Clegane Bowl, which was great. It was so brutal. The brutality in this episode as well was really racked up. Obviously we've had battles, even the battle at Winterfell with the Whites, it was graphic, we had some moments, but it wasn't like real. You saw people get stabbed and everything, and I know Laura Mormont got crushed by it, but you didn't really see like bones break, you kind of just heard it. But if you see people's hands get cut off, people's chests get ripped open, all this just brutality, they really kind of ramp it up, and the fight between the Hound and the Mountain really kind of personifies that as well, because that was brutal, and he even picked him up and was going to do like he did to Oberyn and punch his eyes out, but then he stabs him in the eye and then takes him out. They both fall into the fire. The thing that he fears now taking his brother out as well, which was a really fitting ending. I really enjoyed that battle between those two, and I did love how the Mountain just killed Qyburn, just picked him up and just threw him at some rocks. Just maybe one of the quickest, most sudden deaths for kind of a character that they kind of worked on for a few years. Yeah, just picks him up, throws him, great. And then the end of Cersei as well. This was another thing that I was a little bit disappointed about. Again, I'd like to have seen Dany come up, burn her, because I think that would have been a great way for her to go out. But yeah, because she's down with Jaime in the crypt, and they're trying to get out, but it's doom and peril as the castle's coming down on top of them, and we see Cersei break kind of the first time, and the moment that they have was really touching, because it almost made you feel sorry for her, because it's Jaime's there and it says it's just us, it doesn't matter about anybody else, it doesn't matter, it's just us. But and the building comes down on him. And I like to have seen her going out a better way, because she's probably been maybe the best written character for the entire series. But yeah, just that little bit this season, she's not really been used very well, and it's kind of disappointing because of how much we built on. I know we built up to this whole how Cersei going to go, how we're going to get rid of Cersei, who's going to take her out, who's going to kill her. And eventually she just kind of goes in the arms of Jaime, which in a way is a way she would want to go maybe, but I don't know, I think it could have been done a little bit better. Jaime does get to kill Euron, who was just a dick and then just annoyed the life out of me. So I'm glad he went, and he kind of like chuckled that I'm the man that killed Jaime Lannister, but he didn't. So it makes him look even more of an idiot. So I'm glad he's gone. It's a shame that Yara didn't get to kill him, but he's gone now, so we ain't got to worry about him. So overall, it was a really good episode. I've seen the controversy. I know there's a lot, obviously, especially when it comes to Dany. I don't think we can really judge it until we see the final episode and see the conclusion of where they're going to go with this. Because again, this is where I thought they were going to go with it, but it could have done better. I think what this season has really suffered with is it's only 6 episodes, and everything feels really rushed. The story with Brienne and Jaime, I would like to have seen at least like an episode, like a whole episode with those two just happy, just together. You can really see her just really opening up to Jaime. They really feel a sort of a bond, and then when he does leave, it's even more heartbreaking. Again, with Jon and Daenerys, we didn't really see them together that much. Obviously, we get the very last episode, almost the last scene of episode 7 is when they first kind of get together physically, and then we obviously had the first episode. This one they're together, and then from there it kind of goes, because Jon finds out he's the rightful king of the Westeros, and then he does. So we don't really get like 3 or 4 episodes of those two together being happy, how much they love each other, really building on that. And then when you see this turn, you kind of really feel it doesn't. It's kind of like a short burst, and we've got to keep moving. Again, I'd like to see more stuff with the Hound and Arya travelling down to King's Landing, because those two had some really great chemistry in previous seasons, but we don't get that. We get one episode they're there, an episode they turn up in King's Landing. So I think this season, more than anything, has been really kind of suffered because of how rushed it is and how short we've got to run this up. So we've got one more episode, and there's so much we've got to wrap up on. So the whole thing with Dany and the big turn and everything, I think we need to see the conclusion before we kind of really judge it as a whole, because they do need to stick this landing, and it has been controversial. As much as I've enjoyed this season, I do think it's rushed, and I do think we really need a good conclusion. So hopefully we get that in the next episode. So one more to go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.